Okay,
if I had
Dodgers or Angels?
Oh, God. Dodgers, man. Dodgers, go Dodgers.
I like it. I like it. Live from LA County Podcast. Welcome to another episode where we explore ideas and we look at how we, as county employees and county government, how are they shaping our communications? How are they shaping your lives, our lives, and how are they moving into the future? Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing and talking to Mark Pestrella. Now, before we get started, Mark, let me just say a couple things, right? So give me a moment, because the folks are going to want to get a sense of what we're going to delve into. So today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of public works. Public works, right? Now, we're going to talk about the system and how they make our lives modern, how they're moving us along and making things possible, and keep our people, giving our people the ability to keep running and keep moving throughout our county. So our guest today is Mark Pestrella. He's the director of LA County Public Works, the largest municipal public works agency in the nation. And from clean water to safe roads, sustainable infrastructure to emergency response, he leads an incredible operation that touches nearly every aspect of daily life across LA County. In this conversation, we're going to unpack the challenges and opportunities in managing massive infrastructure at scale. We're going to talk about climate resilience and what it looks like on the ground, and how equity and innovation are guiding the future of public service. Folks, today it's Mark Pestrella. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, Rodney.
Thank you for joining us. This is our little experiment.
That's cool.
Right? And we're getting, this has been amazing. The opportunity to talk to directors like yourselves about what you're doing, your leadership style, how you're trying to build, right? And help your employees and help the community, most importantly. So we always lead with this amazing first question. It's turned out to be amazing. The viewers have loved it. So I'm going to ask you, what is your LA County story? What's your LA story?
Okay. Well, before I just start there, I want to thank you for doing this. This is really cool. It's a good opportunity for myself and my colleagues to, get to know you, the audience, and our employees better. And of course, we're always going to start with thanking our employees. Our employees are amazing. And my colleagues, who are, you're getting to know them. They're an amazing group of people. Yes. So, my LA story is kind of interesting. I grew up in a place people now know as the Inland Empire. I grew up in San Bernardino, of all places, at the base of the foothills in the San Bernardino Mountains. Okay. And I had a life of limited choices, limited means, worked my way through high school, worked my way through college. Very coincidental life, and that's sort of my LA story is by coincidence. Went off to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, best country club I ever went to. 6 years of college and got my degree.
6 years, okay.
6 years, 5-year program. Worked my way through and got to thinking what I'm going to do next. And I ended up having an interview with LA County Public Works. Yeah. And that's really when I got my introduction to LA. As I really did know Los Angeles, so I knew Southern California. I was recruited with 60 other people at one time, 60 engineers, one woman, by the way, in that group. And I was the only person who was a native Californian. Wow. So that's kind of interesting thing. I got to know LA really its heart and soul through my work here at the county. So my LA story is one that evolved over the life of my career. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
So what clearly there was, and for our HR people, we have a lot of them throughout the county, that one person can have an impact on an individual like Mark, like folks that are watching, and drive them to public service to do big things, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that moment and what was it about the conversation you had and the 60 people that you were with, and you went, this isn't a bad idea, county service, like working for government.
And I have a family history of public service, but it really didn't drive me. I thought it didn't drive me. My grandfather was a lighthouse keeper in Hawaii, and my dad's the son of a lighthouse keeper. My mom's a secretary in the Air Force for 30-something years. Yeah, really was not driven towards public service. It's like really didn't see much in helping others, didn't really understand that drive. But I'll tell you the person, and when it came about for me, it was about 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years into working at the county. When I was working in the field, I got my first field assignment probably 5 years into it, and I ran into a family member of a county family member who had been a victim of violent crime.
Yeah.
His name is Rodney Anderson.
Okay.
And I happened to be put, make this story as quick as possible, I have been put in a really neat position to enable our employees to help this son of a county employee.
Yeah.
What we did is we volunteered to build out a home for them in Southeast Los Angeles that was accessible. And we had no business doing it. Like, we were a building and safety officers to issue permits. But I found my inspectors leaving work early, and I'm wondering what's going on with these guys. And down in, the Vermont corridor area, not below that area. And one of the inspectors told me they were helping him out. And I went to meet the family. And the reason that's my public servant moment is I realized that we were being empowered to help people. And I realized the power we had in our hands to help and what a difference it was making in people's lives. Now, that's a very dramatic example, but it really did drive me to where I am now, loving the power to help people.
Got it.
And so I was really sold on it, and I made my decision around that time that I was going to stay and not go to private sector.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. And the idea that you didn't even know, like, what the heck was happening.
No.
But you had these employees who knew we could do something about a problem.
Yeah.
We could help, and they were doing it.
They were just doing it on their own.
Yeah.
And the neat thing for county employees, I think, get this, is they feel empowered to do that.
Yeah.
They knew they weren't going to get in trouble. They didn't really want to tell me, but they did tell me, and it was really something special. And to this day, it is pretty much the highlight of my career in terms of public service.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's get into a few questions about kind of your personal connection and journey. We heard a little bit about kind of your family and how I think now that you're in public service and you probably did a little bit of reflection and you thought back, hey, a lot of my family did this. That's probably why I was drawn to it, right?
Yeah, very true.
But I wonder, if you weren't doing this job, what do you think you would be doing? Where do you think you'd be?
No, I'd be helping somebody. You're right. I mean, I think there is an intrinsic part of this. When I'm talking to employees, I talk about the commitment to public service, and I do think we look for it in people, that little nugget of it, and I think people could see that in me, growing up in that, and so I think it was intrinsic to it. But as far as what I'd be doing, I would be doing some work. I love technical stuff. I love problem solving. That's why I went into engineering. I love being in nature, so I know I'd be somewhere in the outdoor environment, probably building for people. So, I've just really enjoyed making a difference in people's lives with the skill set that I have.
Yeah.
And the skill that I happen to have is I can do math. I don't know why. And I'm a really good problem solver.
Yes.
And I'm a risk taker.
Nice.
So I'm willing to take risk. And so I just found that applying that within my own life, personal life, as well as in my professional life, is really where I found most of my contentment.
What is something outside of work, right? We've talked a lot about the passion for the work that you do. What is something outside of work that you're also passionate about?
Oh yeah, I mean, people know this about me. I'm probably from the Hawaiian roots. I'm a big time surfer.
Okay.
I've been around the ocean my whole life.
You can rip some waves?
Despite growing up in San Bernardino, as my Hawaiian grandmother said, of course he wants to be at the beach. He's a Hawaiian boy. I'm at the ocean all the time. I migrated towards the ocean when I got my first job. I wanted to live near the ocean. Lived in Manhattan Beach to start out. Got married, moved to the Ventura County area near the ocean, and I'm in the water any way, shape, or form, whether it's sailing, surfing, or just sitting at the beach and looking at the water. And people have known I never let anybody see that background side of where I'm at in my favorite beach. But if you found me there, you'd see me in a state of contentment.
Nice.
So that is my sort of my life thing. A private thing is my relationship with the ocean. Yeah.
How does that passion with the ocean, with the water, with the environment, with nature, with surfing, how does that help inform what you do and how you lead?
Yeah, I mean, the early career was all about water. I came out of college, studied water resources. I got this great job in Malibu of all places. There was no coincidence that I was looking to work in Malibu. There happened to be a very world famous surf break there.
Yeah.
But really understanding water had been the thing, and that was a driver. But what got me driven towards management was I looking how we were delivering services in the county and realizing how fractured it was. And specifically Public Works was and continued at that time to be very siloed organization despite the consolidation of the department. And so I got very interested in the problem solving about business service delivery. And then I got focused on business, the business of service delivery in the infrastructure space. Okay. And that got me really hooked on the idea that people deserve better. They deserve the best, whether it's whatever service we're delivering. Yes. And I just happen to be, in the infrastructure business and particularly the water service side. So that was sort of the avenue towards leadership and wanting to deliver and make a difference again, and really like wanting to fight that stereotype that government can't deliver or be like a private business. And so I've been pushing that my whole career. Is like we can do that in service of others. We owe it to them to deliver on that dollar that they give us.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Again, the parallels in your life are just very interesting, right? You the Hawaii thing. You started working in Malibu. You're a surfer. like how the universe will conspire to give you what you want.
Maybe that's true. Rodney. I do say it's coincidence, and I always talk about. One of the things in all of our lives that's been a problem is the uncertainty of our lives. Yes. My wife actually says that uncertainty can be actually a beautiful thing too. I don't know. Growing up with a lot of uncertainty, I was always like, I didn't need control, but I was like, that uncertainty's a bitch. I want to, and what can I do about it? Well, what I can, and I know uncertainty also caused a lot of pain in my life. Yeah. So that uncertainty drove me towards work. But you hit on a point is, as much as I might work towards what I think I need, what you put out comes back to you. Yes, it does. I think that's what you're talking about is, I have been so blessed in my life, despite all the work part of it, with the absolute privilege to serve others, but also to do what I love to do. And that's like work within the natural environment, work around water, and give back to people. And I think, maybe that's just karma, and that's what we need to work on is our own personal character, and then that will come back to us.
Our podcast team had done some amazing research on you, right? I'm telling you, these folks that help put this on, they really are amazing. And so one of the things they picked up from some of your past speeches is this concept of, you talk about the human aspect of the work you do. And you just hit it a little bit. And what is that human impact that you've talked about with others in the past?
Yeah, like one of the dangers of the stereotypes of an engineer is that, it's about building something, building a square. Innovation is, when you run into an engineering organization, to say innovation is like making a smarter machine, but what I realize is that people are losing the end result, what the outcome we're working towards. And ultimately through time, as I talked about earlier, I come to realize very early on that it's about human beings. We're building for people. And the built environment, what we're building is about serving people. Yes. And so what we know about what that built environment can do negatively and positively to people is like really a powerful thing. Once people know, hey, you're making a difference, and particularly our engineers and designers, you're making a difference in people's lives through what you actually build and what we maintain. It's powerful. It drives the mission, and because I believe in it so much, it's easy for me to preach that to my own people. So, for instance, one of the values we have in our department is human health, and we our mission involves building for others, to lifting all communities. Another component of that, of course, is equity. How we distribute these programs, services, and built projects across a community with equity, and really struggling for a long time throughout my career to understand what is equity. And because it goes hand in hand. When you start talking about building for people, you have to ethically consider, well, who gets what and why, and then ultimately what is fair. Yeah. And the definition of fair is a whole interesting thing that you go through. Public Works has been very hard at working on a equity and infrastructure initiative under my guidance and under my Chief Deputy Director, Angela George's guidance, to put together a deeper understanding of equity as I said, as we decide what we're going to work on, where the services are going to go, what the programs are going to be, what the projects are going to be, that we deliver for LA County. And so really to make this operational, and just one last point on this is, it isn't hard when you really start thinking about what the consequences of the things we build are on people. So a very dramatic thing is that every time it is over 95 degrees in LA County, someone dies. And we actually have a role to play. People don't think about that, but we provide the cooling centers. We provide the AC.
Okay.
We require the AC in homes or not. We decide where the routes for our transit system are going to go. Are they going to be, and do we think about convenience to a cooling center when we do that? Or how about how they make their way to fresh vegetables or not? So yeah, it's as dramatic as every time it rains, every time there's heat, someone is going, there's sort of winners and losers, and the thing about it is people die.
Yeah.
So human lives are absolutely dependent upon what we decide to do or not do.
Yeah.
If we don't maintain something right now, a lot of people don't know, we have 14 major dams we operate. They protect over 6 million people. You know, one of those dams bust, you got a real problem.
Absolutely.
And the problem would be people die. And then the other thing that happens tragically in our system, every single week, someone dies, either a pedestrian, cyclist, or a motorist on our county roadways. And it's not for us not trying and thinking about it. But what it was important for me to do is make people aware in our department, even if they didn't want to hear it, because that's heavy on people.
Absolutely.
Say, you know what? By your maintenance of that road, that pothole, that signal, could make a difference in a child's life.
Yeah.
And I guess my biggest rewards in this job have been how many people we served that we didn't know we saved. And the hardest thing is the ones that we do know about that didn't live through whatever it was.
Absolutely.
And so going to bed at night, every night, I'm thinking, which life did we save? What more could we have done?
Yeah.
And so I do put it in my speeches. I purposely do it, and I do it. It's with great sincerity, but also a lot of humility too, because I know the employees and engineers, a lot of them, they don't want to have that obligation. But what I tell our employees is, when you signed up for this, is what you signed up for.
You got it.
What you signed up for.
I think everything you've just said is important for you, our audience, right? To know that the work that this department, his employees are doing is really about your lives. And it's about making sure that your safety is number one, from riding a bike through the streets, the dams that were just discussed, right? Like it's really important stuff. So focus in, you know. Let me ask you about, I'm gonna for a second talk about your staff.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about like you as a leader and your leadership style. I'm aware of some great things that you are doing. You and Angela are really trying to build up your staff. I know that you're providing them. So folks, if you want to work for Public Works, this is one of the reasons why. You are providing your staff with development opportunities above and beyond what DHR already offers. And we offer a lot. So I know you all are working on that. You all build into your mission and values, developmental ideas, so that your staff understands that part of what you're trying to do for them is to build them up as well, so that they can better work for the community. And I love that. So
yeah, it's true. We do a lot of work. People think it would be very all technical. We do done a technical work and leadership work within the department, and we have a system of it to grow people. You know, I'm a firm believer in John Wooden saying, you know, you got to live every day as if it's your last, and you got to live every day or you got to learn every day as if you're going to live forever. Yeah. And so we assume people will want to learn, and by making that investment, we're growing the best public servants. That's what we believe, and therefore creating the most trusted agency. And that is our vision: is to be the most trusted agency in the region. And so with that, inspiring our employees and challenging them to grow, but also having the discipline with them to have structure so they know what's expected. So we've done a lot of work on laying out each step of the management system, how to become a leader, but also how to grow if you want to be a technical person, and that's what you want to do for here. We've created technical series so that our technical staff don't feel limited, but in fact they can grow within their technical strength, because we need both sides of that in our organization, strong leaders and also very strong technical folks. So yeah, I'm proud to, as a director, to really invested in employee training, systems for management and growth, with the idea that that is all the best investment we can make. And by the way, we make that investment, a lot of people get jobs on the outside, and we're not afraid of that either. We actually look, and when we see people go off to go do something different, we wish them farewell. We know we made the investment. And I know I do get a lot from the other industry folks that say, well, you train them, and then we take them from them. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Talk to me about your leadership style. What's your brand of leadership?
Yeah, it's grown over the years for sure. As I've evolved as a leader, I think of some of my early days and some of the mistakes I made. I think the first thing I very much learned, and it's been incorporated from the beginning, from that point forward, is learning how to listen to employees. And I think this is sort of an emblematic thing I do, process I use, that will tell you something about my leadership. I really don't think we can lead anyone unless we have a sense of who we're leading. And so we start with listening to who the employee is, and I start personally with that. I've made it a journey in my life, in my leadership life, to actually know each of the employees from a professional and personable perspective. And you heard me be very careful about not personal versus personable. So I have this thing about, I keep it at arm's length away, and people know that about me. I'm not one of those open door. Somebody says, oh, my day's open door. But I'm open to listening. So a good example is that I've met with every person I've ever directly, managed. I can tell you individually, and ask them the first question, put all the pencils down and ask them, tell me your story. And there's twofold there. I'm trying to build trust, and I'm trying to knock down my fear of being trusted and my fear of trust, which I know that's something about me I've always had to work on. Because you're giving up something of yourself for sure when you decide you're going to take that really audacious idea of managing somebody else. So my leadership style is one in which I'm a leader who believes in setting expectations, discussing the aspirations of the employee, assuming that employee is an ambitious employee no matter what, that they want to get ahead. Once we have an agreement about that expectation, I'm working with them to meet it. And so people will get to know me slowly. I'm not one of those first impression guys, but I have found that with the style of openness and sincerity, that I get a lot of loyal people working for me. And I have to mention how much all of my success has been about those folks that have come to work for me and for the department. Our department is full of some incredibly loyal people to our mission, not necessarily to me, but to the mission into public service. I know I have something to do about that, but I really do believe it's everybody's personal journey. I'm just trying to guide them to see and to get to their level of contentment and what it is to be a great public servant.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome. I am embarrassed to say this because I've worked for the county for now going on 20 years. And do you know, I did not realize that your department is the largest municipal public works agency in the nation. I had no idea. And when you just dropped that nugget on us about how many dams the county is responsible for, I'm just amazed. And I know that you all also have like airports.
Yes, we do.
So talk to the audience. Talk to us about the scope of the responsibility.
Sure. I got this 2-minute, elevator speech about it because I'm always selling our department to people or selling our services. The department touches every aspect of everyone's life in LA County. We start there. And we do that through the development, the planning and design and maintenance and operation of the county's infrastructure. And it's not just unincorporated county, it's the whole county. So all 4,000 plus square miles, 10 million people. And the services that we provide are everything from water resources, which includes the dam system, which captures in the floodwaters in LA County and keeps you free from flooding, but also captures 2/3 of the drinking water supply for LA County. We put that water in the ground, and it's reused by all of you who are drinking that water eventually. We have the channel system as a part of that, which is 500 miles of channel. The LA River a lot of people don't know that LA River is maintained and operated by LA County Public Works and the Corps of Engineers in cooperation. The San Gabriel River. We're also the waste management agent for LA County, which means that we plan for where all the trash goes in LA County. It's 11 million tons of trash a year has to go somewhere. And our department, because of our county status, is required to actually plan where's it going to go. And we do that through a coordinated effort with the private sector and public sector. We are also your trash man for the unincorporated county. We collect your trash in your streets. If you live in an unincorporated county, that's us. We are the county's road commissioner. We run 4,000 linear miles of streets, or 2,600 miles of street. That's all the unincorporated community streets. We have a transit system that has a little bus. You know, the buses that run around, and your parents and that get to jump on for free.
I see the little.
Yeah. We also have the beach bus, which is really cool. We take kids, some kids who have never seen the ocean before. We take the kids from the Antelope Valley, and they go out to the ocean. That's a super cool thing. We have kids that, you know, I get a little chill thinking. We have kids who live like less than 10 miles from the water and who have never seen the ocean.
Tell it.
Do you believe that? And so, you know, it was really fun when I found out about that. One of the first things I did on the transportation side, I went to DC to advocate. I said, what's advocate? What are we doing here? It was 25 years ago. They said, I don't know, go to Linda Sanchez and ask her for something. I said, okay. I said, what do we need? The guy said, we need a bus. I said, we need a bus.
Yeah.
We need a bus. I was flying home on the plane. They said, you got the bus, $1 million.
Nice.
The next question was, what are we going to do with that bus? Mm-hmm. That bus became the bus to go to the beach. To the Playa Vista. And you know, I went down, this is a beautiful thing. I went down to watch the kids get off that bus. And, you know, joy of a child seeing the water for the first time. Oh, my God. So the transportation sector is super important. Yeah. We have 176,000 trees as a part of that system as well. So we are your tree. We take care of your trees in front of your homes. We're pothole people, you know. And then we're also a sanitary sewer maintenance entity. We run the sewer for 67 cities in the county and the unincorporated area. That means when the sewage backs up, that's us, you call us. But also, more importantly, it doesn't back up. We have an incredible record of having very, very few backups to the sewer system. And that is a whole district on its own. We are the county's builder. We build we decided we'd be in the business in the big buildings. Mm-hmm. So we do the big stuff. We don't do the little stuff. You know, we share that work with ISD and others. But we do big things like the Disney Concert Hall, Harbor UCLA, you know, Martin Luther King Hospital, General Hospital. We did that refab. We've done a ton of fire stations, parks. Yeah. And that all, you know, all that work is the county builder at work. We're also doing horizontal work. We're implementing the county's Measure W, which is a measure that I helped pass several years back, which is paying to capture more of our rainwater and put it in the ground. And then we're the county's building official, which means we are a regulatory body that checks to make sure that when people are going to build something, they do it correctly. And we issue building permits as well as development permits.
How many employees do you have?
We have, and it kind of goes up and down, but we have about 4,000 employees. And then we also supplement our contracts, and probably that's another 1,000 to 2,000 people at any given time. Yeah. So at any given time, we got about 5,000 to 6,000 people under our purview. Yeah.
Hey, folks, look. You just heard all of that. You see that public works truck. You see those folks out in the streets. Thank them. Thank them. Just say thank you, right?
Thanks for that, Rodney. I like you.
I'm impressed really cool. by the work that they're doing, and I hope they know that because I see them out there. I just didn't realize the scope. Yeah. And so, you know, this provides that opportunity. If I didn't know it, and I'm in the inside, I'm certain a lot of our listeners and folks who are going to watch this probably didn't know. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity here.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna turn a little bit because this speaks to the amazing work. And the reason why I said thank you again, you know, as part of my saying thank them, is I'm aware of the work that you all have been doing, the work that you did during the wildfires. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, you know, DHR did whatever it can to rally our employees to help. We had centers that we put up, but when I look across our county and what so many departments did, from our aging and disability department all the way down to our public works department, I got to say, folks, we're here. We are here to help. And can you tell us a little bit about how your employees showed up in the midst of it and then continue to show up today?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are unaware in the United States about the role of a public works agency in emergency management. where our primary role in any emergency is to support, in response to support our first responders, fire, sheriff, and others. And some of our folks actually get into somewhat of a first responder role, in that they're moving out and moving materials around, supplies for in support of fire and sheriff. The second role is recovery. Primary role is recovery, mitigation, and preparation. So we're a year-round agency, all-hazard agency. So when you ask what's our role, it's all hands-on. In fact, there is a sector within our department, and a lot of people don't know, we have a 24/7 operations center. We respond to like 93 or 90,000 incident calls a year, anytime, all the time. So we're a well-versed, well-run department in the team, and it was perfect what you did. It's in the team of the county response. We cannot do any of what we do alone. However, I will say this about the recovery components and the mitigation preparation. We are like full-time. It is a part of our deal, and we are no different than fire and sheriff in that we are a 24/7 emergency management agency. And so with the wildfires, what you see is, when you say what was our role, it's so multi-pronged. Two of the major areas in the response were keeping the water flowing.
Yes.
So when you heard in the news that LA City was having trouble with their water, that was not LA County. LA County's water was moving, and the reason it was moving was going well is we were working in coordination with our awesome fire department. Chief Maroney is my great partner. We had plans way ahead of time, and our people were pre-staged to actually make sure those water systems go. And I've got a great story of one of my employees who stayed with the house while everything was burning to keep the energy flowing. And this Anthony from Waterworks District 29, who was at the base of Topanga as an example, and there are many heroes like this in our department, who stayed all night with a pump station that was pumping water to a tank that gave water for the helicopters when they started to fly. And despite fire coming down and threatening the structure, he pulled the energy over there, a portable generator, and kept that site going. Now, he was awarded, one of our highest awards as a Coin for Me challenge coin to acknowledge that. But unfortunately, Rodney, I can't find all the heroes.
Yeah.
They were in the news. You saw them a lot, my folks. They were out there doing their thing, whether it was our road folks, our stormwater guys. Post-fire, were out visiting with thousands of residents to get them ready for the next event, which was the flooding. We moved some like 600,000 cubic yards of material out of our debris basins to get them ready for each flood. And we lost no lives to flooding and no major debris flows impacting the flood control system. So that's public works. Now, what we've been doing since then is the other side of our house in recovery is the group that actually managed the debris cleanup.
Wow.
And so a lot of people saw the Corps of Engineers. We gave them the face when they came, and I met with my counterparts and General Butch Graham from the Army Corps of Engineers. I says, you guys got to get out here. He gets here, and I said, I have no problem with you guys being the face. In fact, I asked them for help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, despite being the biggest public works department, this thing is bigger than us.
Yes.
So they came and worked with us, but behind the scenes, the engineers and technicians and secretaries that did all the administration of that debris removal program. We moved half of equivalent amount of debris to half of the total waste load of LA County, 1 year of the waste load, to a safe environment, the landfills.
Year.
And we're still working on that. And now we're in the rebuild stage. And our department's front and center on building. We're the county's builder.
Yes.
So we're partnering with private and public sector folks to do something a little different this time. We're trying to coordinate and actually incentivize private property construction along with recovery of our public infrastructure. Rodney, I describe Altadena as everything burned 2 feet below ground and above. Wow. And that's what makes this whole fire worse than anything I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them in my career. This is total devastation of all the infrastructure, both horizontal and vertical, and more importantly and more tragically, the loss of life and the loss of people's quality of life. Yeah. When I go to Altadena or I go to Palisades now, every time I go, I have to process it. And every time I go, I find myself crying.
Yes. Because
I run into some property owner or some business person who's looking for answers. And so this is, again, the great compliment to my department and to all county employees who've been involved. This is when people need government. And we have stepped up time in and time again, we being the county at large. And I am just so very proud to be a county employee when I see someone from health department, someone from fire department, someone from my department, someone from mental health, out on the field, on the line, doing their jobs. And part of their jobs is like comforting people. And I've seen that over and over again, and myself included. And so I know you're all giving a lot of yourselves to people right now. And I want to tell you thank you, because you don't always get to thank you. And I want to tell you that, we can help these people get some certainty back in their lives. I said that deadly uncertainty. Create more certainty for people so they can make a healthy choice about what they'd like to do going forward in their lives here in LA County.
Mark, I saw you, your employees aside, thank you, but I also saw you show up in a different way. And my team did, again, I can tell you about the research they do, which is unbelievable, but they did some research about why you possibly showed up how you did, right? And as I understand it, you personally experienced fires that have destroyed your home, not only as an adult, but as a kid.
Yeah.
And so how you showed up for, and I'm going to say this, we had over 600 employees, 600 employees of our county impacted. I was sending out notices to all of our departments, letting them know that these employees are in the burn area, right? Or their houses have burned. Of those 600, a little bit over 100 individuals lost homes. I know, and I know that for one of our employees, it's going to be hard to probably watch this moment, but your call to her, your personal call to her, impacted her. And she came to me and she talked about what that meant. When I didn't quite know what to say, because I didn't know what it would, like, does the person want quiet?
Right.
Does the person want peace? Does the person want to just be kind of left alone to deal with it? I didn't know how to, but you showed up and I knew it was from a place because you had experienced it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And I think that goes back to, you don't know who you're going to touch and who you're going to affect.
Yeah.
And it's really about empathy, and so empathy a lot of times is just being quiet and acknowledging that they're in pain without actually describing any pain you've been through. So that's that. I'm glad to hear that I had an impact, and you're right. I don't talk about it a lot, but growing up, I had similar events in my life where we lost everything in our home, my childhood home, and again, that fire came back to visit again throughout my career, and then visited us, my personal family, in November of last year in Ventura County. So it's kind of interesting how things happen in life, and it has prepped me to be uniquely available to people
For this
in
moment.
this situation. So I have drawn on it, and it is really quite. I feel blessed to have the experience, frankly, so I can help others. Yeah.
All right. So that was the hard stuff. That was the hard stuff, as you all know. We have a little segment we call Lightning Round.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and the first thing that comes to mind, you just go ahead and just give me what you're thinking. UCLA or USC?
Oh, hell.
You don't have to, or you could say both. You don't have to pick a side.
Let's start talking about baseball.
If I had Dodgers or Angels?
Oh, God. It's Dodgers, man. Dodgers, go Dodgers.
I like it. Favorite activity in LA?
Surfing.
All right.
Yeah.
If you didn't have your current position, what would you be doing?
I'd be out in the ocean.
All right. What's one of your biggest fears?
My biggest fear is that we didn't do enough. Something I go to bed at night, and I said it earlier, wondering, did I do enough? And that's something that every one of my colleagues, the directors, I'm sure share with me is, did you lay it all out there? Did you do everything you could? And did I miss something? But just manage that fear.
That's a good lesson, folks. Like that can help drive so much of what we do, and what any of us who are working does. So I appreciate that. Who was one of your biggest influences or mentors growing up?
Growing up, I was pretty much solo act my whole life, but I think later on in life was my grandfather in Hawaii, even in absentia. And then in older life, I have a friend, a adopted father, I will say, a friend's father who became a quadriplegic, Mr. Paul Schneider, and he is a great mentor. He is someone to learn from. He's a quadriplegic, and his favorite saying is, "It is," and I'll just leave it there.
Song or artist that's in rotation for you right now? Come on, give
Right
us
now?
right now. Well, like I get in your car, and what are we bumping to? Like,
I am so eclectic on music, but I will say Coulter Wall right now. Coulter Wall.
okay,
Cowboy
all right,
music.
all
Cowboy
right.
music. Yeah.
It, who's currently your biggest hype person?
Tight.
Hype. The person that is like behind you, pushing you, cheerleader, right?
You know
Who's
who
that
that's
person
been
in your life?
for so long?
Who has it been?
My wife.
Nice, nice.
She's amazing.
She is.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. I love it. When was the last time you tried something new for the first time?
Like every day.
All right. That's good. That's good.
I am such a curious George, and I get in trouble with this. I'm always looking for that next thing. Yeah. So,
All right.
I mean, I just, whatever it is.
That was our lightning round, right? So I'm gonna close this out. I have just a couple more questions that I'm gonna ask you, and I think the biggest thing is, you've talked about your county employees. I've told the community to thank them, but I did want to give you a moment to kind of talk to your employees and let them know what they've meant for you and what they've meant for the community.
Well, yeah, thank you, Rodney. And again, before we end, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. We don't get this kind of opportunity all the time. I do try to do as much as I can. My employees know that I talk ad nauseum about the mission. And I also thank you quite often. But I thank you again for the opportunity. The employees of Public Works are a quiet group of people. They're professionals. They're quiet, and they're disciplined in their work. They tend to be almost overly courteous at times. And they do all that you all do that without a lot of thanks. And yet, one of the things I know about our department, and I've heard from you in the past, is like whenever the county asks, we do. And we're known as the group that actually produces. And folks that do and who succeed, they usually, the thanks they get is more work. And I know I have leaned on all of you for that throughout my time as a director, and those of you that work for me in other parts of the department know that I've always felt, I've always been the one to say we can do, but that's on your backs because I know you're the ones that actually do the work. And so it's really a good opportunity for me at this point in my career again to say thank you for everything you've done. And it's not for me, as you know, it's for the mission of our department, which ultimately is for community. You have made a huge difference in the lives of the community, and I can name so many different things that you've done. They say why you love somebody. I can tell you, you've saved more lives than you can ever know by the work you do every day. And I am 100% confident in that. And so for all the lives you saved and all the people you got to fresh food and all the services you got people, as you said, easily moving to those services, for your collaboration across other counties, recognizing we don't do things alone, we do them in the county family. And that together in the county family, we produce incredible things for people. You've made a difference in many, many people's lives. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Folks, I take a lesson, leaders, folks who want to be leaders. How you thank and how you appreciate others is the sign of a great leader. And Mark, I really want to thank you for the time today.
Yeah, right.
It's been cool, like getting to know you a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
For years we've kind of worked together in a few of your cases that have come to HR, and I want to thank you. And for the audience, that's a wrap on today's episode with Director Mark Pestrella, our Director of LA County Public Works. And we hope this conversation really has given you a new appreciation for the types of leaders that we have and given you some idea of a place that you might want to work, especially if you're good at math. Not me. But again, folks, thank you. And live from LA County Podcast, we're out. Thank you.